The representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Mr. Chairman, you are out of order. Mr. Chairman, have you no decency?
Welcome to the first ever Deranged Democrat Award Ceremony. I am your host, Angela Rose. The first award will go to the dumbest DOGE protester. These Democrats decided to play homeless people for the day, lying down on the sidewalk with signs complaining about the rich in America. This might be because the top 10% of Americans own about 60% of the wealth in our country. However, it is pretty crazy that they are complaining when on average an American is making around $77,000 per year, and yet globally the average salary per year is $18,000. So maybe these people are so upset about being the tail of the lion when they could simply move to a different country and be the head of a mouse if they wanted to. Democrats are the ones who are drawing the swastika symbol everywhere. They are spending their days protesting outside of Tesla buildings. Totally, that is their right. But if this is the way you're spending your days, then I don't understand how you can complain about the outcomes. Pretty bizarre that we have to treat these Democrat adults like preschoolers who want some attention to their little drawings. The nominees for this award include Mark Kelly, girl with a green shirt, guy named Bill, and a witch. Before we find out who the winner is, here is a closer look at their work. Mark Kelly is proudly selling his Tesla.
Hey folks, Mark Kelly here in Washington, driving to work for the last time in my Tesla. When I bought this thing, I didn't think it was going to become a political issue. Every time I get in this car in the last 60 days or so, it reminds me of just how much damage Elon Musk and Donald Trump is doing to our country.
Every time that I see a Tesla, I'm reminded of how much damage you guys are doing to Teslas.
You know, doing the right thing, I think it's time to get rid of it. Elon Musk kind of turned out to be an asshole. I don't want to be driving a car built and designed by an asshole.
The girl in the green shirt went viral recently because she was sharing a website where you could go and find all of the protests against Tesla locations and times. And we all know the type of behavior that happens in these protests. So a lot of people were very unhappy with this lady, and here is her response.
For sure, there's been vandalism at Tesla dealerships. I've seen it on the news. I want to make it really clear that I don't, and the Tesla takedown movement, troublemakers, none of us have ever supported violence or called for violence. We do not believe in that as a strategy of nonviolent resistance. I think the vandalism really shows the outright anger and rage that people are feeling about what Elon Musk is doing right now in our government.
This lady just said that she doesn't encourage this violence, but she definitely understands that it's totally reasonable and it makes sense because they're angry and they should be. Wow. I am 80% certain that this guy's name is Bill.
So did you hear 4 of the largest investors in Tesla have called for an immediate board meeting? BlackRock, State Street Partners, Vanguard, and Jamie Dimon at Chase. They're not happy with the slide in the stock. They're not happy that the fact that Elon Musk isn't doing anything to rectify it. They're not happy that the company has lost close to $400 billion since the first of the year. Who knows? Maybe they're going to get smart, and they're going to throw Elon Musk out of the company, just like those nice folks at PayPal did.
So Bill here is describing a situation from the year 2000 where Elon Musk was replaced as CEO by Peter Thiel. Now, it is very important to note that they were competitors. They both had businesses that were doing the same thing. They were just a few blocks away from each other, and they decided to meet at a Middle Point Cafe. And Peter says that if you can't beat a competitor, then join them. So that is exactly what they did. These two have a very complex history. And while Elon Musk was trying to raise money for PayPal, the company then replaced him with Peter Thiel. So you cannot really judge a person based off of that. It doesn't seem like it'd be a very good idea for Tesla to lose Elon. Just look at what happened to Apple when they lost Steve Jobs. But maybe that is what Bill wants to have happen. Now let's hear from a self-proclaimed witch.
Just FYI, the witches who practice the craft and are really disappointed that nothing works on the Orange Palpatine because he is protected by an egregore. I want to make sure that you know that even though he is protected by an egregore, which doesn't really work for him anymore if you ask me, but Elon Musk and the Couch Boy doesn't have egregores, and the Palpatine's egregore will not protect this other two. You know what to do now.
This lady is absolutely crazy. I don't know why anybody would get into this. It's like she went into Spencer's one time and then left thinking that she had special powers. Wonderful. So you just saw some of the dumbest DOGE protesters, but here I have the winner of this award. The dumbest DOGE protester award goes to Mark Kelly. I knew he would win. I knew he would win this award. Let's check out some of Mark's best virtue signaling moments.
When I went into space 4 times, I mean, I could see, how thin the atmosphere is over this planet. It's as thin as a contact lens on an eyeball, and we've got to do a better job taking care of it. I have not seen in my time in the Senate many folks that deny that the climate is changing. That was a thing of the past. Now is, what do we do about it? We passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which is a big down payment on reducing the amount of carbon we put up into the atmosphere. That will make a difference over time. We obviously have to do more.
Yeah, so Mark did more for some time when he was driving his EV vehicle, but then Elon Musk supported Donald Trump, and suddenly he doesn't care about doing his part to help the environment anymore. Everybody is calling him out for his gas-guzzling new ride.
All right, here I am with my new ride, Chevy, good old Chevy Tahoe, here in Washington, D.C. Got one of these in Tucson as well. This one was made by Union Labor, United Auto Workers in Arlington.
Mark, how could you forget that the ozone layer is as thin as a contact on an eyeball? What are you doing? Let's give one more round of applause for Mark Kelly's incredible work. We can sincerely not stop laughing at you. Moving on to the next category, we have the most delusional Mahmoud protester. This is a person who has led some of the most violent protests in our country. Let's take a closer look. This right here is footage that came out of Columbia University in a demonstration that was led by Mahmoud, the person that they are now protesting for. Here is another clip people are sharing of Mahmoud as they celebrate what people are calling a terrorist group. Why can't we just focus on our country, Protesters in Los Angeles have decided to block the streets again, all in the name of a person named Mahmoud. Get a job. Get a job. I can't explain why Mahmoud got deported as well as Caroline can.
And he took advantage of that opportunity, of that privilege, by siding with terrorists, Hamas terrorists who have innocent men, women, and children. This is an individual who organized group protests that not only disrupted college campus classes and harassed Jewish American students and made them feel unsafe on their own college campus, but also distributed pro-Hamas propaganda, flyers with the logo of Hamas. That is what the behavior and activity that this individual engaged in.
I just don't understand why some people come to the U.S. to seek a better life, but then just bring all of the baggage from their countries with them and then just try to incorporate America into their drama. This is the video of him getting arrested.
You're gonna have to come with us. I'm coming with you, don't worry.
You guys really don't need to be doing all of that.
All of that.
Take Amy. Call Amy.
Yeah, they just handcuffed him and took him. I don't know what to do.
Now, the moment you have all been waiting for. The nominees for the most delusional Mahmoud protester are Margaret Brennan, a girl named Ash who says he was deported for his political beliefs, and a guy in a suit who claims he was deported because they didn't like what he had to say. Here's what Brennan had to say to Marco Rubio.
Is there any evidence of a link to terrorism, or is it just his point of view?
Yeah, they take over. I mean, you should watch the news. These guys take over entire buildings.
We
they
covered
vandalize
it
colleges.
Intensely.
They shut down
I'm
colleges.
asking about the specific justification for the revocation of his visa. Was there any evidence or material support for terrorism?
Was the negotiator negotiating on behalf of people that took over a campus, that vandalized buildings? Negotiating over what? That's a crime in and of itself, that they're involved in being the negotiator, the spokesperson, this, that, the other. We don't want it. We don't need these people in our country. We never should have allowed them in the first place.
I have heard of one guy whose visa got revoked because he had a tattoo on his face that related him to some type of criminal organization or like the cartels or something like that. If you have any ties at all to any terrorist organization, you are not permitted to live in the United States. That is just the way it is. And that is a law that is made to protect our citizens. Let's hear what Ash has to say.
I've said it once and I'll say it again. You can and will be detained or deported as a legal U.S. resident for your political beliefs. And that is exactly what's happening to activist and legal resident Mahmoud Khalid, who is being held as a political prisoner.
How is it pronounced?
Mahmoud Khalid, who is
Mahmoud Khalid.
Mahmoud was detained illegally this past Saturday and was told that his student visa was revoked. Now, when he retorted that he is not on a student visa and is a legal green card holder, he was told his green card status was revoked as well. When asked for a warrant, the ICE agents hung up in his lawyer's face. Now, everything about this is illegal, and as such, a federal judge has actually chosen to block Mahmoud's deportation. But he has still been sent to an...
Yeah, and these federal judges might just be getting impeached. There was also a federal judge who tried to stop Donald Trump from deporting Venezuelan gang members, and we were able to do it anyway. Pretty crazy that Mahmoud supporters are expecting him to have full rights, even though he wasn't a citizen and he wasn't acting like a good citizen. Like Caroline said, coming to this country is a privilege, and if you can't handle that, then why should you be here? Let's hear from the guy in the suit.
I want to talk to you about the case of Mahmoud Khalid, permanent resident of the United States and married to an American citizen. Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
Like, just because you're married to an American citizen doesn't mean that you magically get your citizenship and then you can just come here and then be a terrorist.
Tended to care about the rights of free speech under the First Amendment. But it turns out they only care about the right of free speech for themselves. Because when it comes to the case of Mahmoud Khalid, who was a pro-Palestinian activists, they didn't like what he had to say at Columbia University. And so they sent federal authorities out to arrest him and took him from New York down to a detention center in Louisiana.
I would love to know what your opinion about this is. In my opinion, if you are someone who is immigrating to the United States, you need to be on your utmost best behavior. All right, now that you guys have seen who the nominees are, let's see who wins the most delusional Mahmoud Protester Award. Of course, it is going to Margaret Brennan, the lady who says that free speech leads to genocide. Congratulations, Margaret, for winning this award. Everybody has gotten a lot of laughs out of your statements recently.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship was specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none.
Why does Margaret always set herself up for these really hilarious gotcha moments? Common sense Americans understand why Mahmoud was deported.
Mahmoud Khalid has got to be deported. And I'm going to qualify what I said. We are a nation of laws. And under the Immigration and Nationality, there is precedent set congressional laws that are signed on the books. They are there. And Khalid, he violated them. And he was a green card holder. And when you come to this country, you are held by standards.
Yes.
Just like American citizens who cannot commit crimes.
Yeah.
So
the third category is all about federal employees. They have done a great job at entertaining our country recently. So this is an award for the most deranged federal employee. Let's take a closer look at some of the nominees. Here's federal employee number 1.
Listen to me when I tell you that I worked as a government employee, a federal government employee, for the past 3 years at national park sites, and I could not, as a government employee, I could not recommend a restaurant to visitors because as a government employee, I could not show preference for specific businesses. As a government employee,
I don't know. She seems pretty Italian to me. Seems like she's encouraging people to eat some pizza or spaghetti by doing all of this. I mean, I guess the point that she is trying to make is that she couldn't recommend people a restaurant, but yet Donald Trump was showing people how cool Tesla cars are. Nobody actually cares that you were a government employee. All of these federal employees think that it's like their moment to shine or something. As a government employee, that was a very interesting talk. This guy's name is Shelton, and he's an air traffic operations supervisor. It says he's a prominent figure inside the National Black Coalition of Federal Aviation Employees and was allegedly caught on undercover audio explaining how he will help minority air traffic controller candidates cheat on entry exams.
Each of you are eager, very eager, to apply for this job vacancy announcement. Keep in mind, we are trying to maximize your opportunities, and I'm doing the very best that I can with the time that I'm given.
Why not help them or send them audios with information that can help them improve their skill instead of just improving their chances of getting the job, you know? This girl's name is Olivia, and she had something to say about the 5 bullet points email that DOGE, which is led by Elon Musk, which is the Department of Government Efficiency, sent out to all federal employees.
Today I responded to the email that we received as federal employees asking us to report 5 things that we accomplished last week. I'm not worried about my 5 things. I have plenty of things to report. I did plenty of work last week. But the feeling of just like absolute existential dread that I felt typing out a response to that email is something that I wish I could convey to everyone, because it felt like such a glimpse into the reality that they are trying to create. And it was terrifying.
It's just kind of hilarious that she found the email and needing to reply to it a terrifying experience. It is now time to unveil who is the most deranged federal employee. Drum roll, please. Yes, it is Olivia Victoria. She gets this award because she secured a retweet from Elon Musk. Even Ashley St. Clair can't do that, so congratulations, Olivia. She has made a series about this now on her TikTok where she shares her experience of going viral on X.
I'm a federal employee. I posted a few videos over the last few weeks over my experience enduring the DOGE antics and the 5 bullet point email. And then one of those those videos was put on X and then shared by Elon, and I was put on blast for 50 million people. But in the meantime, I continued to just endure the comments in TikTok. I luckily don't have X, so I didn't have to see those comments. But this was one I wanted to share because it's particularly egregious, and it speaks.
So basically, she just goes on to explain that it is wrong for the American people to think that federal employees work for them, and also that federal employees are just getting a bad rap, that they're actually really hardworking and they get paid way less than people in the private sector, and they get no appreciation, but they do it because they love their jobs so much, and yada, yada, yada. It just seems like a lot of the federal employees are taking it really personally. It has nothing to do with you. You could have been great at your job, but our government really just does need to shrink down. Man, we are having such a wonderful time here at the Deranged Democrat Award Ceremony. Our final category for the night is for the craziest Democrat on TV or on social media. The nominees for this award should be pretty obvious. We have Whoopi Goldberg, Don Lemon, Sarah McBride, and Jasmine Crockett. Let's take a closer look at their work.
I wanted to ask you, because there's been all of this debate about whether transgender athletes should be able to compete. Part of the problem that the trans community is facing, and it's the same problem that women face, is if you don't know anything about our bodies, you don't know how it works. Have you seen female athletes? They know what they're doing. So I'm not sure what's going on or why this is an issue.
We have to assume that Whoopi Goldberg has never played a sport in her entire life. You can take the best female fighter and she won't be able to beat an average random man. Same thing in many other sports like soccer, basketball, volleyball. The list goes on and on. Men are stronger, they're taller, they have quicker reaction time. Also, the composition between muscle and fat on men is completely different than it is on women. Women naturally have more fat on our bodies than men do. There are so many different reasons why men and women should not compete together. Whoopi Goldberg is absolutely deranged, and so is Don Lemon.
But you can't be a sincere black Republican.
I don't think that you can be a rational MAGA. Be black and be a rational MAGA person. I think you can be black and be a Republican.
I think they would find that very insulting.
Now, here is a person who goes by the name Sarah McBride. This person made a big ordeal about not being able to use the bathrooms in DC or something like that. And then this person wore pink along with many other Democrat Congress people in trying to stand up for women's rights and saying that men should be able to compete against women. So there's a lot of confusion and drama going on here, and it is understandable why that seeps out to everybody else around that person.
Recognize the representative from Delaware.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative from
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
This hearing is adjourned. Recognize the representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ranking Member Keating, also wonderful.
Okay, if you guys have ever read the book, The Wolf of Wall Street, or I'm sure you've seen the movie Jordan with Jordan Belfort and everything, one of the things that he says that can help you sell is having like the common sense voice. It's like, oh, well, this is what we're going to do because, you know, that just makes sense. It's just kind of like we're talking normally right now. This is a normal thing. And this is just kind of how things are. And that is the exact tone of voice that he said when he continuously addressed that person because he was saying it with such a common sense voice. He's like, oh, well, we have set the standard. You know, this is America. Again, we're just normal people that are sensible. We have common sense. And so I'm going to introduce the person how we should in America now that we are sensible. You know, this is a common sense tone. And so I think that it really sold it, and it really drove the point home, and it made this guy so angry that he just couldn't handle it. Jasmine Crockett is always acting wild.
How many of you are sending your kids to college to go and work on them? Okay, well, guess who is working the farms? So that you can afford your food. So that you can have food. So that you can have food. Now, how many of you are looking to send your kids into hospitality after this college education so that they can go and make the beds at the home?
Yeah, it is always so crazy that Democrats want illegals in our country so that they can work the farms for us. Man, oh man, I don't know how you guys keep your cool after watching all of those crazy Democrats. But now let's see who gets the award for the craziest Democrat of them all. Yes, this is no surprise. It is all of them, because the Democrat Party is literally falling apart at its seams. Let's take a closer look at that.
Our new NBC News poll, as you just saw, shows the Democratic Party at an all-time low approval rating. Why do you think Democrats are failing to connect with Americans at this critical moment of urgency?
Why is it that the Democrats are losing in all the polls? Why is it? My eyes are like popping out of my head because I'm so confused as to why Democrats are no longer relating to the American people. I mean, I cannot think of any reason why that would be at such a critical moment as well. I mean, what is going on? Obviously, Donald Trump has control over these people. I mean, my eyes actually burn when I'm doing that. I don't know how she is able to have her eyes open for so long like that.
Describe.
Well, it's what I just talked about. I mean, I think Americans want the Democratic Party to stand up and fight and to take risks. Listen, I understand that had we gone into a shutdown, even for a handful of days, it would have been difficult, but it would have sent a message that the Democratic Party is not going to be bullied by Donald Trump.
That's the reason why Democrats are not doing well, because Donald Trump is a bully. And there's no other reason besides that. To me, it just seems like the Democrats sit around and complain about America, and they act like their plan to fix America would be to destroy it. I hope that you guys have enjoyed the Deranged Democrat Award Ceremony. Please make sure right now that you and all of your friends are subscribed. I'll see you next time. Bye.